Okay, hey, welcome back to another Black City Coffee vlog. Sunglasses, I had an eye injury and still kind of light sensitive, so I'm wearing the sunglasses. Plus, I didn't have to make a video today, but I'm so bored because I'm supposed to stay away from the computer. So I was like, I'm so bored just sleeping and closing my eyes. I could still make a video without straining my eyes too much. So yeah, I'm gonna answer some questions, some follow-up questions from you guys. And then we're going to take a little break from the vlog for maybe a good week and a half, not too long. And we'll be back making videos, but I've been really appreciating everybody who's been sending such really like nice, sweet messages saying, watching the vlogs and enjoying them. And I'm really glad that you guys are enjoying them and learning something. And I want to preface each video, if it's not really apparent, it's like I'm really just trying to encourage you guys to learn how to problem solve for yourself, right? Because really nobody's going to be right there with you to like hold your hand and teach you every little thing. A lot of it is experimentation, and I'm trying to teach you to become a better teacher yourself, like as you learn, you know? And that's really what roasting is, honestly, unless you have somebody like right there all the time, like it's your job. But as a home roaster, I think we enjoy just the puzzle of it all and trying to figure it out. And what if I do this? What if I do that? Right? And nobody's really like, there's no real pressure to like sell it or answer to a boss or something like that, right? You're your own boss. So I hope that that's really clear, you know, because this is another side of roasting. You know, these aren't the laws of roasting. This is one home roaster to another, learning how to roast, and like I said in the last video, is like trying to make better coffee together. Let's answer some of these questions that you guys are sending me. I think there's like this weird, not weird, but like this consensus of like confusion of what I'm saying in terms of like what I say is light, medium, or dark, and I want to make that pretty clear in this video, okay? When I give you guys a standard, which is not my standard, it's industry's starting point that I've read in a book, learned in a class, learned from industry professionals. So I'll call it industry starting point, and that is the 40-40-20 total development time in percentages in the roast, in the total roast time of a coffee. And so if we look at coffee having three parts, so we have a first part, second part, last part, or we have a first, middle, last phase, whatever you want to call it, okay? The first part is supposed to be somewhere around 40% of the total roast time. And then the next part's supposed to be 40, and then the next part's supposed to be 20. Not supposed to be, but like that's a starting point. In terms of good development, you know, we're getting a balanced cup, and that is really just a starting point. What I'm doing, what I'm showing you guys when I do like a light roast and I deviate from that 40-40-20 and say I do like, I wrote it down. So one of my lights, which like is significantly different from the industry starting point or standard, which is like a 48, 44, 8 in percentages, right? Which was why I was like, what the heck? But when I'm tasting in the cup, I like that, you know, I like that I can taste all these things in the cup, and I feel like I'm getting what I'm paying for when I buy this very expensive green. And yeah, it's much lighter than this starting point of the 40-40-20, and it is indeed a significant deviation from that. But like I said, it's like all profiles, no matter what your percentages are, they are going to change from coffee and style of roasting. So this particular light roast that I gave you, 48, 44, 8. Okay, that's my total roast time in percentages for this particular coffee, which was, I think it was Mr. Pablo. That's a natural coffee that I'm trying to roast very light. I kind of roast it aggressively because I want it to be relatively bright in the cup, and I want to have a lot of acidity in the cup. I still want good sweetness, so I make sure that middle phase is like, you know, it's 44% of the total time, right? So, and that's my style of roasting. And when I'm trying to get you guys to understand or do or find out or discover on your own as you kind of like see my example, is go, okay, like this is Meg's style of light roast coffee for this particular coffee. if you get a chance to taste it, you have that now confirmation of that's what that tastes like. This is what Meg is saying, and this is what it tastes like, okay? Then you can take that as another starting point and go, well, I'm really not digging that, actually. I want it to be a little darker, but I'm gonna call it, maybe I do a little bit darker shade of this, you know, this like 48, 44, 8, and maybe I do like another iteration of this profile that's maybe just a little bit more developed on the last phase. Maybe you want to take it to 12%, and that's going to change those other numbers too, right? Because it's all like a scale. And then maybe you, in whatever, you know, X name, coffee roaster, you're going to call that light, and you're going to deem this, whatever I do, too light, too acidic. That's cool, because you know on your own cuppy table and what you prefer, maybe what your customers prefer or whatever, like that's your version of light, right? So I always say that, where it's like everybody's gonna have their own style of roasting. Like this 40-40-20, I don't want you guys to get sucked in too much into these numbers. Really, it's really just a starting point. You could do whatever you want to do, okay? It's your roaster, it's your roast, your coffee. Now, I'm giving you starting points at different points with different types of coffees with different goals. You are gonna have your own goals. You are gonna have your own style of roasting, different roaster, all kinds of stuff is gonna be your own, right? That I don't really know or have context about. But you have a starting point, and then you can take that information and kind of work that into what you're trying to do over at your coffee place or your roastery, okay? And whatever you do, just make sure you document it so you know what you did. And then you cup it too, right? That's part of the documentation process. You just cup it and go like, oh wow, that's too light. Oh wow, that's too dark. Oh wow, this is really sweet. This is really cool. Like make a note of that. I wanna replicate that, right? Or, hey, this has good sweetness, but it's kind of lacking acidity. Maybe I need to roast it a little bit faster. Okay, cool, write it down. Let's go back to the drawing board and do it again. And that's all really roasting is like trial and error. Now, to make that whole process less frustrating and more fun, or more feeling like you're not wasting coffee and all that stuff that I know you're feeling when you're trying to figure it out, right? Is really, honestly, it's taking good notes. If you take good notes, like sometimes I kick myself in the butt because I don't take good notes. And I'm like, damn, now I got to do that experiment again. But if you take good notes, this is what happened. Or maybe you don't think it's relevant, write it down anyway. That way, when you go back to look at it, you're cupping it and you're going, okay, this is what it tastes like. And you're making notes of what that tastes like. Now, is this good or is it bad, right? Is this good or bad than the last one? Is this good or bad than this one, right? And you have like just these methods of comparison. And that way you can start to move stuff off of the table and be like, cool, I'm done with that experiment. This is what I learned. I'm gonna take that into the next experiment and keep getting to my goal, which is like the best cup I can make, right? Or the best coffee I can make. Like, I think how I talk about it so long in a video, or maybe the way I deliver the information, I don't think it's that complicated. I'm just trying to communicate my passion for this coffee, and that's how I guess it comes across on video, but it's really not that complicated, okay? There's plenty of times that I was right where you are, making it too complicated. Too concerned with what the rules are saying, what I'm saying to you guys, but it's really like when you're at the roaster, make a decision, write down everything, take good notes, cup it. Yes or no, does it pass? Does it pass in terms of does it have good acidity? Does it have good sweetness? What is this coffee? Like, how are you judging this coffee? Judge that coffee. And believe me, like, I was right there with you. Somebody asked me, are classes necessary to do a side business and to roast coffee like this, like how I do it? No, they're not necessary. You can teach yourself for sure, but it really helps to be guided by somebody who knows more than you, you know? For sure it's not necessary, but like, dang, I was at that time where I was just like so thirsty for knowledge. I was just trying to sign up to anything that I could afford at the time and had time for and that I could commit to, and really, like, when I take the class, I would really be present. You know, wouldn't be worrying about what I'm doing before or after. I'd be really committed to that time that I'm spending in class, and really try to ask good follow-up questions, not just be there, not just like, oh, I took a class and then like I feel like I'm good, but like I did something and I was trying to be as active as I could be during class. And it really wasn't until, like, honestly, my little stage thingy, not stage, but like you know, that's generous. That class, basically that 3-day class with Clatch, that really showed me so much, you know. I think if I was going into business, like, I do think that's going to help you a lot, but I don't think it's necessary. Like, Mike himself didn't go to any classes. He just did what I'm doing now, which is like not inundated too much by rules. He documented, he took notes, he did experiments, and he cupped. And he said, yes or no, does this coffee pass when I just did this experiment? And he did it over and over and over again. And he took really great notes. And that's it, you know? So, and he pioneered that. And that's basically what he taught me. Even though we have all this like fancy equipment now and, you know, things that plot your ROR automatically. And, you know, he did all that by hand back in the day. So you can totally do it on your own. It's really just how good are you at problem solving? The problem is not making the best coffee you can right now, right? And you want to get to the best coffee you can make. Okay, well, yeah, it just starts really right there, and you don't really need to overcomplicate it with all the numbers that I'm giving you. I'm just trying to show you a starting point, okay? I really, 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 really want to make that clear. That's my style of roasting. That's my starting points for these particular coffees with my style of roasting, right? Okay, so that's one very small piece of the pie, if I might humbly say. And you got to come in there and be like, all right, now I got to get my gears turning, work my little brain, take good notes, and cup it. And I got to see what is the evidence in front of me as a roaster, and make my stand, and put down my own rules, put down my own standards, right, for whatever your coffee roaster is, right? And then just go from there. I know that feeling of like having to want to be validated by somebody else who you think is better in a way, or more experienced or anything like that. But I would say don't doubt what you taste in front of you. I'm not there when you're tasting your coffees, when you're making those decisions. I don't have all the context and all that stuff in front of me. So I'm only just sharing and documenting what I'm doing, right? And hopefully that's inspiring you, or helping to turn the wheels in your brain to go and figure that out for yourself, okay? So I hope that's clear, all right? I don't want you to get too hung up with numbers, especially my numbers could be drastically different from yours, okay? Do whatever you need to do with your machine to control your machine, right? To have full control of your machine and the management of your heat, and modulate it the way that you feel that you need to modulate it based on what you're tasting in the cup. That's it. Yeah. But I get it, where there's going to be a moment where if you're confused right now, because I was right there, okay? And I think that's the beauty of this show, or this kind of content, is like, cool, somebody was there. Cool, you were there, Meg. You were very confused and thinking too much about numbers, and thinking too much about a pretty curve, and thinking too much about this and that, when really I just needed to taste it. You know, I just needed to taste and know maybe the difference between a light roast, a medium roast, and a dark roast. I had no idea, I was ignorant actually, that I wasn't making light roasts. The first step that I did after trying to brain dump everything that I could in the last week after the class, and really also going through a rebrand in the company, and really transforming, really changing, all in an effort to make the best coffee that I can make. So go to a roaster that you like, or that you want to roast coffee like, and then try their light, their medium, and their dark, and then go, okay, like, Let's break this down. Why is this light? Why is this medium? Why is this dark? And then try to replicate that on your own. That's what I did, honestly. I was just like, how do you do it? Okay, what am I doing? Okay, I'm darker. I'm much darker. Why am I much darker? Okay, let's go to the roast curve. Oh, I'm really past, I'm not turning around quick enough. Okay, I gotta charge higher. Okay, I gotta find out, I don't need to soak for this style of roasting. Okay, that feels weird, but okay, let's try it. I need to hit green to yellow transition or dry end earlier. Let's do that. Let's focus on that goal. All right, we're doing it, and now I may be hitting first crack too early. Okay, why? Okay, I need to lower the heat down more so I don't hit first crack too early. Okay, like just one thing at a time. I know it can be painful, it can be frustrating, but like, you know, you love coffee, right? You love it, you respect it, you love it, you want to honor how it got to you, and they friggin' handpicked this and took so long to get over to you. You paid top dollar for it, right? If it's specialty coffee, maybe. I don't know, the work that it took to do that. I'm not too concerned with it, because it's just part of the whole process of learning to be a roaster and respecting the fact that this coffee is even in my hands and that I get to roast it and be part of this chain. It always just feels really magical to me. So I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but it feels really magical. I'm really, really honored whenever I get to roast for somebody, or I get to figure out how to roast a coffee, and I like that puzzle. I like that challenge. And I think if you have that attitude about it, even the frustrating parts, oh man, like that didn't work out, you can still find joy in that frustration or in that stress. I think because coffee is like that, it made me also like have the same attitude about things that are tough in real life or outside of coffee. And that's why coffee is awesome. Okay, so does that make sense? Does that give you a little window into like maybe if you're getting frustrated, you don't have to be. You can choose not to be frustrated with it and just see it as a part of the journey, okay? And you'll get there. You'll get there. And if it helps you, if you feel like you still don't have a grasp on it, you're like, I don't get it, dude. Like, I'm trying to take notes, I'm trying to do this, then yes, go take classes. Like, ask an industry professional who's like putting on real cuppings. Go to a cupping. I know not all of you are local, but like, shout out to Hasea, who's always putting on cuppings. So if you're here in the Southern California area, or you want to come and visit and do a class, like, they're excellent. And you can ask him all the questions that you want. They're so passionate about coffee and really getting you to understand, like, and ask those questions that you feel silly about. And he'll never, ever, ever make you feel silly or stupid. And he'll totally answer your questions and give you just a whole new perspective, I guess. I'm like, oh, okay, so that's what that is. Cool. All right. But yeah, anybody like that who's putting on a cupping where you can ask questions, you don't feel weird about asking questions. You know, being curious is really good. Like, right, I say always be curious. Roasting is it's fun, isn't it? Anyway, thanks for hanging out. We'll be back again in the vlogs, maybe in a week and a half or so, maybe 2. Thanks so much for your support, everyone. I really appreciate it. I love this community. And I love making videos and talking about coffee. It's definitely a passion. All right, so we'll see you in the next one. Keep letting me know about your progress in your roasts. Are you cupping them? Cup, cup, cup. Don't forget to cup. Write it down. Cup it, write it down. Take good notes, experiment, and have fun. All right, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
It's new days, Dave's first new days.
New dish. My bad, new dish. There's an I in there. I'm American. Sorry. You can just call me Dev. Cool. Thank you, Dev.